Alright, let's talk about a movie called The Perfumer. Alright, so you got this lady by the name of Sunny. She's just driving. She ends up picking up a hitchhiker. And she get to talking and rapping and all that stuff. But she's on her way to go to this police station or whatever like that. Turns out she's going to be working for the police with her boyfriend, Juno. Now they get it popping. They're making it do what it do. Now, everything's all sweet and dandy, whatever like that. But the thing is, Juno got an ex-baby mother on the side with two girls that he has. Some chick named Rosa. Then we introduce this dude by the name of Donovan, who is the perfumer. Dorian, my bad. He calls up some chick named Rex. I guess he used to work with her or whatever like that. And they about to get it popping together. So now Juno and Sunny are on this case all of a sudden. Then they'll find this girl in the ditch. Turns out it's the girl that Sunny had picked up a while ago. They found her naked with no hair on her head, anything like that. Now it turns out the situation wasn't a sex crime because there was no fingerprints or nothing like that. Apparently it was some type of perfume she was taking. But the thing is, it doesn't have a smell or whatever. So it goes undetected by the police. Now how they figure this out right off the back, I'm not really sure. But they know about the chick Rex, you know what I'm saying? And apparently throughout that, there's been plenty of crimes with the females or whatever like that that have been taken out. So now Sunny's been trying to get leads on Rex and all this other stuff, but she can't really get nothing at the time. And then Juno decides that he has no choice but to break up with Sunny because, he wants to see his kids. So Sunny's basically distraught and everything, but she's really focused on this case. So she gets some index clues and, end up leading up to Rex. So they've been staking out this house. She ends up still having to team up with Juno. Then all of a sudden they hear screaming and like the house is on fire. They go and investigate. They end up catching Rex. And Sunny ends up finding a love potion or whatever like that. But instead of not tampering with evidence, she ends up taking it. Meanwhile, we found out Dorian was running out the back door. He escaped. So they get Rex. She's pretty much locked up, but they put her in a psychiatric ward instead of a jail. So then while Sunny's home, she gets a knock at the door of this dude by the name of Stefan. Now this guy, every now he comes over, he wants to get some beer and wine and stuff like that for his dad. But then there's another time he comes over, he ends up having a black eye. So we see the father's very abusive when he's not getting his alcohol. So Sunny got to put him in his place, She's still a cop, The dad, not Stefan. So the thing is that she has this perfume. It's supposed to be some type of love perfume. But she's been using the smell of it to try to get Juno back. And basically she does. They get to smash and all type of stuff. Then we find out that she's actually pregnant now. But she hadn't told Juno yet. So the rest of the cops think the case is pretty much done because they caught Rex. Even though they don't really realize that they're trying to find Dorian. Because they don't even know he's out there like that. But Sunny does. So Sunny goes looking for him in this cave or whatever like that. Some type of underground bunker or whatever. Turns out she finds him all the way down the bunker. The thing is, his leg was either shot or dismembered. I don't know what happened. Basically, his leg's messed up. The thing is, she doesn't exactly want to turn him in yet. She wants to figure out how he's creating these smells. The thing is, at an early age, she had lost her sense of smell when she was 7. But she was able to take in the aroma of this love potion. So the thing is, she's gonna help him get the ingredients and stuff like that to try to create something. But the thing is, she don't really trust him fully. Because the thing she don't know is all these other victims that are out there, they were actually a part of these concoctions and potions that he was trying to make. Because apparently he hasn't created the perfect formula. So basically they're trying to get a sense of smell back, but everything has been failing so far. Then it gets to a point where they're at a campfire and it's like, all right, she's had enough. But then Dorian out of nowhere smacks her with a damn 2x4. I'm like, what the fuck? Then he ends up rolling her off of the ravine. I'm like, yo, don't ask me this. Somehow, some way the baby ends up still surviving. Then she gets act up, but apparently something astounding happens. She regains her sense of smell. She goes back to the house. She starts smelling everything. Her feet, the walls, all type of shit. She gets Juno back to the house. They get to smashing. So you're thinking to yourself at this point, is she really even looking for Dorian anymore? Or is she thankful of the fact that she could get smells again? Or should she be mad because of what he did to her? So anyway, Dorian's distraught because everything they were doing with Sunny feels like he's about to create the perfect formula or whatever. Then we find out Rex escaped from a psychiatric ward. And she ends up chilling in some random spot where Dorian finds her. They get back together so they could get to this temple or lab or whatever like that. And they're going to try to create this own concoction and try to make the perfect love potion. Now this so-called formula is called Pearl. And he's got it written down all across this tent that he's working in or his temple. So meanwhile, Sunny and Juno end up getting this house on the countryside or whatever like that. It's a house that they were supposed to be working on. And that's where they staying at now. Now Sunny at this point has basically been using this love potion to keep Juno with her. But she knows she only got so much of it left. And it's going to be, it's going to be hard to keep him around, But then he asks her, how is it you can smell all of a sudden? Then she finally tells him that she's pregnant. So later on, while they're doing other stuff in the house or whatever like that, Rosa ends up coming to the house with the 2 kids. So Rosa's with Juno and the 2 kids and Sunny feeling some type of way or whatever. So Sunny ends up calling Juno to the house and they end up smashing while Rosa and the 2 kids are outside. I'm like, okay. Now throughout all this, we see this girl named Jackie. She's trying to get a ride or whatever. It just so happens that Stefan happens to be pulling up. They get in the car together. They get to talking, rapping, whatever like that. And now they eyed him. Because apparently they're both a bunch of runaways. So there you go. Stefan for good reason, but I don't know what Jackie's running away from. So meanwhile, Rex is begging Donovan for the old formula while Donovan's trying to come up with a new formula. And she says she wants to go back to the lab instead of dealing stuff in the temple or whatever like that. So Donovan provides abides by it. Meanwhile, Sonny ends up going to the spot where they at and she burns that shit down. And Donovan can sense what Sonny is doing. Now, he's been able to do this in the last couple times in this movie, and I'm thinking to myself, how the fuck is this psychokinetic bullshit happening right now? He could just sense that Sonny's fucking up his plans. Like, trust me, if you watch it, you'll know what I'm talking about. So then it gets to a point, Sonny comes back home by herself and then she ends up passing out. As many falls she takes in this movie, I'm thinking to myself, how the fuck is this baby still surviving? Next thing we know, she waked up tied up in a chair and Rex is in front of her face. Because I guess eventually Donovan told her who had the daggone potion. And apparently the only reason she was knocked out is because Rex had put up a potion in the house so she could smell it and pass out. So now Rex is looking for the potion. She can't abide by that. Basically, she's going to threaten the baby. So without any choice, Sonny goes throughout the house and gets the potion or whatever. But instead of giving it to her, she slams it on the floor and puts a towel in front of her mouth so she doesn't breathe in the aroma. Rex starts acting all crazy, like she's just floundering around or whatever like that. Then we see the scene where she's outside and like a bunch of people, a bunch of dudes are around or whatever like that. She's like floundering around with them. Next thing we know, the next day we get a news report that Rex is done deal dead as shit, but she's missing. All they know is that the titanium plate that she had in her head was just laid out on the floor somewhere. I'm like, what? Like out in the field and there was blood all around it. But they never was able to find the body. And then by the time the cops came to the house or whatever the next day, there was no traces of anything within the house. No potions, no smashed vials, nothing. So who the fuck cleaned that up? Because Juno didn't know anything about this shit, so who cleaned up? So then we see Sonny and Juno having dinner late at night, and she makes a huge decision to let Juno go because, you know what I'm saying, she wants him to be with her family of Rosa and the 2 kids or whatever. Then we see Sonny crying because she lost Juno. Then we see a shot of Dorian crying because he lost Rex. Now Dorian ends up talking to this random dude, and the dude is like, yo, you gonna tell me what a pearl is? But he tells him to come back tomorrow. Sonny comes back home from whatever she was doing that day, and she ends up finding Dorian. Sonny's got the gun pointed at Dorian, but Dorian is like, you complete me. We're going to make each other one. We a perfect formula and all this other stuff. And then she ends up dropping the gun. She wants to see what it's about, whatever like that. But then she stops. She's like, you don't even know what love is. And then she ends up running out the house. So during the next day, he's talking to this dude and the guy's talking about this pearl or whatever like that. But the thing is, he don't know what the pearl is. Dorian knows the pearl is actually a formula. So the guy wants him to get his creative juices going. So he gives him the stickiest of the icky. They get the weed, they get it popping. But even after all that, he still can't tell him what the pearl is. And then afterwards, the guy just leaves. And Dorian's thinking to himself, he can't make a love potion if he doesn't know what love is. That's the insight that Sonny gave him. So throughout all this time, Sonny's been looking for Dorian or whatever like that. He's been off the grid. Now remember when I said Stefan and Jackie were a couple? Well, apparently they needed somewhere to stay and Sonny allowed them to stay at the house. Unmistakably, while Sonny was looking for Dorian, Dorian was actually watching out as Sonny. Now I'm thinking to myself right then and there, there's some type of negligence being played because I'm thinking, Sonny, what the fuck are you doing? Dorian had just recently came to your house. Why would you invite anybody to stay at your house knowing damn well that's the person that you're looking for who's pretty much dangerous? Let alone 2 runaways like Stefan and Jackie. The same Stefan that was getting beat by his father because he can't get no alcohol. And guess what happens when she comes back home one day? She goes in and checks in the barn or whatever like that. And you see Stefan and Jackie's clothes laying in the barn with a couple of pictures and a potion bottle. That's right. Dorian kidnapped both of them niggas. So now we get to this final confrontations so she can figure out where the heck Dorian's at. They had this little warehouse that's got like a bunch of Christmas trees in it and whatnot. She ends up finding Stefan and Jackie. They laid out dead as shit, right? You're like, oh no, are they dead? And then Dorian comes out of nowhere with all this paint on them and shit. Now a little backstory on Dorian. Dorian had this priest that acted as his father, and Sonny was able to talk to him. Now the priest said he came out as a baby smelling horrible or whatever. And he always wanted to change this smell so he could be loved, ergo how he was trying to make a love potion. But it never worked. He went through a lot of hell and torture before he ended up meeting up with Rex. And basically that's his backstory. Alright, so now back to the confrontation. Sonny acts like she's not about to shoot him again. They end up getting closer. And then she ends up giving him a vial and putting it in his hand. But then she smashed it in his hand so he could smell it. Turns out the vial is actually a toxin to the poison. It's odorless. But it also eliminates all the smells he's been able to smell to lead up to his, his perfume addiction or whatever. So she just leaves him there in his own misery. We find out Stefan and Jackie are still alive. And she gets him up out of there. As far as we know, no information about the situation there was told to the cops. All they know is that Dorian was there. They got him and arrested him. As far as Sonny goes, apparently it's been a couple of years because she's chilling with a new baby boy. And they're just enjoying life in the house that they in. The end. There's probably a little bit more to it than that, but not really that much. So, if you want to check out The Perfumier, it's on Netflix. Check that shit out.